Humans have been creating art since the beginning of our existence. The creation of art is integral to the nature of being human, woven so deeply within our history and psyche that it's not only taught to us in schools, but it's also used as a therapeutic method to help cope with traumas and mental illness. The act of making art, and in turn admiring art, is at the very forefront the core of humanity. However, despite this reverent importance in art, the act of making and receiving custom artwork is a luxury. Like any other work, the creation of art is something that people should be compensated for. Most of this compensation will come in the form of praise and just community admiration, but if you're lucky, that compensation takes the form of money! Let's say that you make art or you want to buy a custom piece of art. This video is for both of those groups of people, so welcome to the beginner's guide to commissions. Hey there, I'm here to interrupt your regularly scheduled entertainment. When you hear the word commission thrown around in the art community specifically, it refers to the creation of a custom piece of artwork for a client who has paid for it. Pretty simple. Despite this simplicity, some people make taking or ordering commissions a little difficult, more so than they really need to, and so this guide is more of a silly little video to help newer artists or people who have never commissioned an artist before get what they both want and need. Refer to the timestamps for this video, as part 1 will be for the artist and part 2 will be for the clients, also known as the people wanting to commission the artist. Jumping into the world of taking commissions, also sometimes known as freelance work depending on the extent of your project, can be a little intimidating. One of the hardest parts for this, for many artists is actually the section in which you actually have to talk to another person. While you can want to be nice to people, especially ones willing to potentially throw hundreds of dollars at you, you also want to make sure that you stay professional with them. This piece of advice here is more for, strangers commissioning you and not so much your friends, so just keep that in mind here. Unfortunately, if you get too friendly with potential clients, i.e. strangers, some of them might take that as an invitation to ask you for discounts, haggle you for price changes, request free work, or other similar things. Confidence in a professional manner is also really important because you don't want to give in to the people begging you to lower your prices for them. This is a give an inch, they want a mile type of scenario, because if you give in once to a haggler begging you to lower your prices or even give them something for free, they will smell blood in the water and they will continue to haggle you for more and more and more, because at that point they just kind of expect you to give in to them. Sometimes a commission job is just not worth it if you have clients like this. Also, take notes and put this in your workspaces. It's okay to decline a commission. Fresh artists just starting out might be inclined to accept every job offer they get. It's a little intoxicating when you first start getting paid for your work, so you just want to do everything for everyone, but realistically, that's dangerous for a variety of reasons. And don't worry, I was one of these artists too that would accept everything that was thrown my way when I first started, so I understand any pain that potentially new artists are going through right now. But the reason why it's dangerous, firstly, is the before mentioned section of people trying to haggle you down on your prices. These type of people just generally just want free stuff out of you. They don't really care about your work in particular, they just want to get free things out of anybody that's willing to give it to them. They don't care that you have bills to pay, they don't care that you have mouths to feed. Secondly, you just don't have time to accept every commission offer that you get. You just don't. It might not seem like that big of a deal to you when you first start out right now because you might not be getting too many clients, but as your reputation improves and you gain popularity and more people start coming to you, that could change very suddenly. You should definitely try to find a way to balance time between work and leisure. The heart of every artist is really someone who just wants to create, but only doing work for others and nothing fun for yourself can and will lead to burnout. Take care of yourself, both physically and mentally, to avoid this as much as possible. While I don't think it's really possible to never get burnt out, we all have our bad days after all, I do feel that properly managing your time can alleviate a lot of the stress that comes with being a full-time artist. The last bit of forewarning that is related to taking care of yourself and professionalism is actually keeping a deadline. Taking care of your physical and mental health is very important for avoiding burnout, but it's also important to communicate things with your clients. If you're not able to do something, you need to be able to tell your client, break the news to the people that paid for your skills that you're not able to do something. Most people are pretty understanding that life just kind of happens, and that can hinder your ability to make things, but you should also have a fail-safe in the event that you're not going to be able to finish things in time. Before just taking that hiatus that you need for personal reasons, you need to inform your client that their order is going to be delayed. You cannot simply just not say anything and expect people not to ask questions. You should keep your estimated turnaround time for commissions realistic. Consider the average time that it takes you to complete a piece of artwork for yourself, and then add a couple of days onto that as a safety net. Over the years, I've seen way too many call out posts about artists who just continue to pile on their commission work, accepting payments all over the place and then never delivering said work to their clients. Or if they do deliver, it's, way, way, way too late for it to be realistic. Being a little mean here, but despite any life hardships that you might be going through, making a client wait over 2 years for a finished piece of art with no updates in regards to their order is actually pretty outrageous. Which I've seen some opinions floating around on Twitter a little recently that wanting your work done by a certain deadline is ableist for disabled artists, and I will just have to be, again, kind of mean for a second here, but if you're providing a service and have been paid to provide that service, you have to do the service that you were paid to do. If you are suffering from any disabilities that make work difficult, trust me, I know I have some, you should be aware of the limitations those disabilities place on you, and you should have made your own accommodations to handle your situation. You are your own boss in this situation. No one is breaking ADA but yourself if you don't give yourself the accommodations that you need. If you can only draw for like an hour a day, you need to adjust your workload and deadline to accommodate that. One thing that you can do to avoid becoming overwhelmed with too many commissions to complete is to set up a certain number of projects that you're able to take on at once. Artists commonly refer to this as a commission slot. If your workload limit is 3 commissions, you can accept those 3 orders and no more until those original 3 are finished. I personally do just 1 commission at a time because I'm aware of my own limitations. Again, I understand that life happens, and sometimes you might want to do something commonly referred to as emergency commissions in order to get money very quickly in exchange for gradually completing commissions over time. But I personally do not recommend anyone actually do this. I see it floating around a lot around social media, but my own personal opinion is that you should not touch any money you make off of your commissions until after that order is already completed and the client's happy with their work. And most emergency commission posts I see will be things for like sudden medical bill or sudden rent charge or something like that. I know that the concept of someone getting a cheaper than normal commission is enticing for them to give you money so that you can resolve your financial issues as fast as possible, but using that money from a commission prior to finishing the order is fairly dangerous to you. Let's say that you get those funds through this method for your emergency orders, and then you have too many orders to fulfill. Some people are not going to be very patient and willing to wait for you to get around to their order 2 years down the road. Some people will charge back on these orders, which will not only take the money that they gave you, that you already spent, but they'll also result in further monetary punishments and penalizations that come with chargeback fees. And I know some of these like money transfer apps that are floating around, they actually can terminate your account if you get too many chargebacks, so take that into consideration. The other reason for not spending commission money until after you have your order finished is in the event of a nicer but still irritated client is tired of waiting for the order for any number of reasons that could be your fault or even things outside of your control, but that client could just ask for a refund if they're pretty nice about it. Sometimes it'll be easier just to give that refund instead of fighting or begging, especially if you've not even started the order yet. If you happen to need emergency funds for whatever variety of reasons, I know, again, life happens. Alternative things could be like Patreon or Ko-fi, or even simply a donation button that sends money directly to you. You might have seen some artists using this like friends and family feature on PayPal, for example, in order to receive payments for their commissions, and I am also here formally to tell you, don't fucking do that. Don't do it. It's a violation of their terms of service, and not only can you get in trouble with PayPal having your account terminated, but you can also get in hot water with the IRS. And you don't want to be in hot water with the IRS. They will find you, and they will audit you. When accepting commissions, I find it generally easier to use like an invoice system, which again, PayPal's invoice system in particular allows clients to pay you with a credit card or their own PayPal funds, and you can add any taxes that you need to their order, and then there are also features that allow clients to like pay in installments or even add a tip. Although generally most artists who do smaller work just tend to accept all of their payment up front to avoid spending hours and hours worth of work only for their client to never pay them. In the end, the relationship between the artist and the client needs to have a certain level of trust between them, which is why it's important to work within your realistic deadlines. Additionally, invoices can also help both you and your client know when orders have been placed and what the order was for, because there's like descriptions and everything that you can add to the invoice. PayPal's invoice system also informs you when the invoices have been paid. Commissions are work, and if you're going to be making commissions or freelance work your full-time job, you need to be putting away money for taxes. Generally, it's recommended to withhold roughly about 30% of your income for tax purposes, but that can and does change. Generally, I withhold about 50% of my income personally, but I take all of my like receipts and other transaction history to a tax guy. And I also do a lot more than just commission, so I'm kind of like a little fuzzy on which of my taxes are just from commission work alone. Alright. I know I tend to ramble about the not so fun stuff in regards to being an artist quite a bit, but it's important when doing this as a career because adults have bills to pay, and as your own boss, you have to know how to handle yourself when interacting with clients, balancing your checkbook, and managing your own work ethics. So let's move on to other things that you should have done prior to even contemplating accepting commission orders, right? Beyond a payment method, like PayPal or Cash App, WhatsApp, whatever, you're first going to want a reliable way to deliver your work to your client. For digital creators, this is pretty easy. Just make an email. Don't use a personal email address that's connected to anything. You don't want someone potentially hacking you and getting access to other accounts. In order to function online, everyone has an email, and it's arguably the easiest way to send full resolution files to someone. They can save that email and download that file a dozen times over if they like. Emails also work well for exchanging other information for the order itself. While most social media has like private messaging, emails can allow for larger chunks of text, larger reference files, and in the case of physical items, you can exchange other personal information like addresses in order to ship items to your clients. Another important thing to have prepared prior to accepting any orders is a pretty obvious thing, and that's pricing. How much are you charging your clients for your services? Do you offer different types of commissions, like sketches versus fully rendered pieces? Do your commissions vary in sizing? Are your clients able to commission commercial things from you? All of these factors and more will affect what your pricing on your work will be. A lot of artists, even more experienced ones, struggle to price their work because you have to take into consideration the general budget of your ideal target demographic, but also the rates of those around you. Price your work too high and no one's going to be able to afford it, but price your work too low, that can attract clients who don't really hold a lot of respect for you. Artists that start off by undercharging their work kind of struggle to keep up orders once they raise their prices, because they tend to jump out of the price range of their previous client base. Additionally, undercharging for your artwork can actually harm your peers. Look at commission forums like DeviantArt as an example. That site is ripe with commissions as low as a couple of dollars, and that reflects on the estimated budgets of those looking to hire artists there. They want your labor as cheaply as possible, and if they can find someone who will do the work that you offer for $100 for $10, they will just take that cheaper option and most likely less experienced alternative. Other artists are not your competition, really. Society has kind of brainwashed non-artistic people to view art as a general commodity as opposed to the luxury that custom artwork actually is. When I was in university, a formula that instructors taught us to apply to our work when accepting commissions or selling original pieces went something like this. The price of materials plus what wage you are comfortable working multiplied by the general amount of hours it takes you to complete the work. And then that kind of equals an estimate of what you could potentially charge for your work. That formula was introduced to us based on traditional art pieces that we would need to like buy unique supplies for, but the same or similar formula can really be applied to digital work as well. When I first started working on my own commission prices, I first split them into two different sections: web-sized and print-sized images. Web-sized images are at 72 dpi, while the print-sized images are made at a 300 dpi, and since 300 dpi canvas would appear larger even if the inches were the same as a 72 dpi canvas, I charge way more for the 300 dpi images. Briefly, dpi stands for dots per inch, but can also be referred to as pixels per inch in some sources. The higher the dpi is on the canvas, the cleaner the image will be when printed. These are also the images that I allow people to purchase the rights for in order to use them for commercial purposes, which by that I mean they buy the rights to use the artwork to make their own money using it. So I've done things for like music, album art, book art, playing card art, but I don't really look up, the finished product for the stuff that I do, so who knows if the images ever got used for those kind of things. In addition to 72 dpi versus 300 dpi, I also divided my commissions down further into other sections as well, like how much of the character is present on the page, how many characters will be on the page, if they will need any sort of environment in the image, and lastly, any props for the character to be holding or engaging with. A popular thing that many artists like to do is make something referred to as a commission sheet. These image sheets are kind of a brief example of what kind of work you can get from the artist and what their pricing would be. Commission sheets are really helpful for people who have never commissioned an artist before, but aren't really necessary if you don't really want to make one. I used to make commission sheets myself when I first started getting commissions, and they were okay, I guess, but most of my clients never even looked at the commission sheet itself and would instead send me other artwork that I made and asked if I can do anything similar to that for their order, and then would ask me what the pricing would be. So at the end of the day, I just have this like little spreadsheet that has like just the prices set, and then any examples that they want or need are generally just found in my portfolio or social media. And if they never even seen my portfolio, one, why are they commissioning me? But two, they'll like give me kind of a wall of text, and I'll send examples of things that I've done similarly to what they're describing to see if I'm the right fit for them. Before you start taking orders for commissions, it might not be a horrible idea to also work on your own kind of terms of service document and have potential clients read it over and accept your terms. This document would be kind of a semi-legal safety net for yourself, and I only say semi-legal because I'm not a lawyer, so I can't promise the actual legality of the document and how binding it would actually be. But it kind of gives your clients a sense of expectation between you and them. This document would include things like what you're willing to do and what not to do, acknowledgments on if the work needs to be kept private or can be posted publicly, whether or not you're alright with the client reposting the work to their own social media, your refund policies, revision limit, and, anything else that you can really think of. Due to the recent landscape of AI generators being shit, I personally included a clause in my own form that forbids my work from being used in any AI generator software. I find that it's helpful to have your pricing and your terms of service document already typed up and saved somewhere that you can refer your potential clients to go look at. I find this is a good way to get people not to haggle you and accuse you of just making things up as you go. And remember, the exchange between you as an artist and your client should be pleasant but professional, and what that means to you can vary. Some artists like it when their clients send them silly little memes to request a commission, and that's fine, while some clients get a little nervous talking to someone they admire. You have to be able to find a balance between all of the different kinds of clients that could interact with you to ensure that no one really feels alienated when they're trying to hire you. Another section of what can be considered a little mean for some people, but newer artists don't seem to have very good manners as of late, so let me teach you some simple etiquette that will go a long way. Do not ask anyone to commission you if they're not looking to hire an artist. Don't go into someone's DMs and beg them to hire you for a project that simply doesn't exist. Two brief points to add here. I am aware that a lot of the messages that you can get that has people asking to commission them are bots, but that doesn't negate any real people that are actually doing this. Second point, this advice is for one-on-one commission work, not applying to studios. If you want to apply to work for a studio or something, sure, go ahead and send them your resume and portfolio, shoot your shot, whatever. I just mean specifically here not to reach out to some random person you follow and beg them to let you draw for them, because that's weird. Lastly, don't self-advertise on someone else's commission posts and try to steal clients from other artists. I don't know why I even have to say that, but it's weird. I remember applying to this commission once, this was years ago, and another person responded to my post saying, "Nah, I'll do this for cheaper." And then that person that was trying to hire an artist, sure enough, went to that person that said that. And it's frankly just unacceptable behavior. Just don't do that. If you're going to reply to someone's post asking for, an artist, submit your work and everything, make your own reply to that. Don't reply underneath another artist's thing. Just general etiquette. Don't be rude. Anyway. The best part of commission work is being able to take on whatever work that you feel is best suited for yourself. People already love your work, and that's why they come to you to begin with. Let that give you a sense of pride in yourself, and have fun with creating something wonderful. Welcome, non-artist, to part 2. In this section, you are the client, or if you're the artist still watching, you can pretend to be the client. That's okay, I don't mind. You've never commissioned an artist before, or maybe you've tried to in the past, and something just really didn't go right, and you don't know why, so I'm here to help you out just a little bit. Similarly to the artist side, one of the hardest parts of commissioning an artist is talking to them. It's an unfortunate reality that the internet right now is full to the brim with scam bot accounts looking to fuck someone over. And in the art space, many of those bots do that by posing as potential commission clients. We artists, again unfortunately, have become super hyper vigilant of these scams, and if someone messaging us uses certain keywords, those messages tend just to be ignored, at least for me personally, and I know some other artists do as well. It's honestly a hassle to always be overtly aware of this, but accepting stuff through a scam can be very horrific for a variety of reasons, namely being hacked or people just scamming us out of money, right? So as weird as this is going to sound, one piece of advice when messaging an artist to hire them for a commission is you're going to want to sound as human as possible. Scam bots tend to just send short messages like, "Hi," or "Are you available for a commission?" with varying grammatical success or failures in their sentence structures. Some more elaborate scams go as far as to having pitches prepared like, "I'm looking to get a portrait done of my deceased dog," or "I'm looking to get something made for my child's birthday." Unless you're talking to someone who actually specializes in those kinds of works, those prompts will seem like a scam. This advice to open a conversation for commissions might not work for every artist, but I personally tend to engage more if the person does any of these things that I'm about to discuss. Firstly, if you are reaching out through social media like Twitter or Instagram, do so with an account that's obviously being used, like actively being used. Scam bots have been known to buy and use abandoned accounts with some odd number of posts or followers to appear more real until you click through their post and realize that the account had actually been dead for several years prior to magically reaching out to the artist. Instead of messaging just "Hi," which tells us absolutely nothing of your intentions, or "Are you available for a commission?" you can add in more information that a bot might not think to do, like why you decided to pick that particular artist. Just saying things like, "I saw your work and it was really good," also kind of sounds like a bot, so I would recommend more specific things like, "I saw that picture of Sonic you posted a few days ago, and I really love how you drew the eyes. Are you available to make a commission of my Sonic OC?" or something more specific like that. Like I said, it's a little weird and complicated to think, how do I sound more human? But bots currently don't go into more specific detail about the artist's work beyond, "Saw your work, it's good." And let's say that you do end up messaging an artist to hire them. Don't be angry if they don't get back to you. Like I said through this section, we are being bombarded with bots constantly trying to scam us, and we are very wary of new and random interactions. But also, a lot of social media sorts its first-time messages into a message request folder, so we might not even see those messages at first. But lastly, and most importantly, despite the fact that you want to throw money at someone, an artist does not owe you their time. If they don't want to respond to you, they simply do not have to. And you need to be a mature individual and just accept that, and move on to finding a new artist that will want your money. Speaking of finding a new artist, let's talk about finding just any artist to commission. If you're looking to hire an artist to commission someone, most likely you already know and follow a handful of different people that you already like. This is a great first step, but you as a client should also be as wary of artists as artists are of you. There are ways that you yourself can be scammed, which would destroy the trust and desire to further support the art community, and no one really wants that. The most important thing that you should do is research the artists that you're interested in prior to reaching out to them. This research could lead you to a simple discovery of if they are even willing to accept commissions at the time, but it can also reveal some not too pleasant things about that artist as well. If an artist is a nightmare to work with, they will definitely have a buyer beware type of post made about them somewhere on the internet. You can go to a site called Artist Beware, which highlights problematic behavior with both certain artists and notoriously irritating clients, but that site isn't the only place you can get beware type of information. Twitter has a lot of posts about certain artists and how shitty they can be, but so does Reddit sometimes. Just generally, if you kind of Google like an artist name, you can get, certain information popping up about them. It's not a terrible idea to search up keywords attached to the artist name and see if they've gotten in any sort of trouble in the past, like not meeting commission deadlines, using AI art when they promised that everything was done by hand, tracing, and just gaslighting clients into believing that they never got paid for their work to begin with. Researching the account that you're interested in commissioning could also turn up other information, like if the account is just a reposter and not actually the original artist, or worst of all, you can find out the account is actually just a bot. Just like artists needing to worry about bots trying to scam them, you as a client unfortunately suffer from something very similar. Take Twitter as an example again. The site is infamous for the amount of bots it contains at this point. If you make a call for artist type of post, basically saying, "Hey, I'm looking to commission someone," requesting anybody to reach out for you in regards for you to hire them, you are guaranteed to get a jumbled mess of replies, mentions, and DMs, all from bots offering a variety of completely fabricated services in order to scam you. This continuous issue with scam bots is why I feel it's very important to pre-select a handful of artists that you already like and ask them if they're available for work. And if they're not available for current work, you can see if they have a wait list or other method of informing their audience of when they will be accepting commission work again. If you're reaching out to an artist to work with, you should already be prepared for the project that you want to hire them for, which I know it sounds so stupid when you say it out loud, but you'd be surprised with how often we get potential clients reaching out to hire us and they just don't know what they want. You're going to want to think about the project that you're looking to get made. So like collect reference images, for example, poses, characters, environments, props, and anything else that your project might need included in the final result. Some artists are willing to work with text descriptions, but those kind of pitches tend to vary a lot in terms of final outcome, and you might not be too happy with the interpretation that your artist has as opposed to what you originally meant. I personally work best with reference images as opposed to like walls of text describing things. You should be ready to discuss with your artists what they're capable of working with in that regard, because some of people just, they don't mind walls of text, but other ones just refuse to work with walls of text whatsoever, so be mindful. It can be a little frustrating when you're talking to a client, asking them basic things about their project, and you get a lot of, I guess, or I don't know, or even worse, whatever you want. Because this leaves a lot of room for error on the artist's part. If you're giving us money, we want to make you as happy as possible for your final images, so please be ready to tell us exactly what you want. The last point of advice here, which is probably as equally as important as like everything else here combined, is knowing what your own budget is for your project. A part of the research process for selecting your artist should include finding out how much they charge for their work at some point. Many artists who have commission sheets available to view will most likely have what they charge listed on these sheets, but if they don't, then it doesn't really hurt to ask. Most artists, in order to avoid scams, will request the entire payment upfront for any orders they receive. It's fairly common practice. Some might also do like half down payment and half upon completion, but that would be something that you would discuss with them. It varies. A part of the etiquette when talking to an artist you want to hire is also the advice of just don't tell an artist that their prices are too high. We have bills to pay, mouths to feed. We charge the way we do in order to survive, not thrive. If you cannot afford the artist you have selected, the most polite thing you can do is just tell them that their prices are currently out of your budget and you will need to return to them when you're able to afford their services. Do not haggle an artist to lower their prices. Dear Lord, please don't do it. If you're thinking of commissioning someone for work, when that thought enters your mind is when you should probably start saving up money for your project. It's not uncommon for some projects to go well over $100, and on the more very professional end can go well over $1,000. Take an educated guess of the scale and difficulty of your project and save up money accordingly. It's always better to overestimate how much you're going to be charged than it will be to underestimate how much you will be charged. If you save up more money than what you initially actually needed for the project and are feeling generous and in good financial spaces to do so, many artists will happily accept tips for their work. Despite all of this advice, let's say for whatever reason you have the funds to support an artist, but you don't really have any projects you really want them to work on, but you still want to throw your money at them for whatever reason. You can see if that artist has things like Patreon, Ko-fi, or other online tip jars or donation buttons. They will be endlessly grateful even if you don't hire them for individual one-on-one work. If you commission an artist and love that work, shout it from the rooftops, share it everywhere, let everyone know who made your dream image a reality. We rely a lot on word of mouth. Most of us can't afford traditional advertisements, so be sure to tell your friends, your turtle, your uncle, your grandma, everybody how awesome the artist that you hired is. The relationship between an artist and their client is built upon mutual love of art and ultimately a true test of patience and trust. Some of the best art I've ever done has come out of commissions, and they can be a lot of fun. And seeing a client happy with their finished piece is just an overall completely amazing feeling. I hope this video helps someone who either wants to get started accepting commissions or someone who just wants to hire an artist for the first time. If you have any advice that I didn't really mention here, feel free to comment it. It's always nice to share information. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more content by me. This video, like all of my content, is brought to you by Patreon, so thank you so much to Ippo, Alec, Ashley, and Mel for subscribing. If you want to support me on Patreon, tiers start as little as $1 a month. All tiers on Patreon get access to a monthly discount code to my Etsy store, early access to new artwork that I finish, and a private Patreon-only Discord server. Anyway, thank you again for watching. This is Finn, signing off. Until next time.